Hello viewer. So today we are going to be creating a simple navbar with a drop down menu in HTML and CSS. Something like this that when you move on it, it shows you the services and it shows you the event. So I'm going to be breaking down the concept for us so that we are going to understand it. And so I can be able to use to create complex navbar also in our future projects. So let's get into business. So I have created my folder called nav. Then I have set up my HTML file and my CSS file. So we can begin our work. So first, for every project that we are creating, our content in HTML is usually divided into three: the header, the main, and the footer. The header contains all our navbar and everything that we do see at the top. Then the main contains the main context of the web page. Then the footer contains the later part, that is the ending of the page, where you can see quick links, redirects, etc. etc. Where you can see quick links, redirects, etc. So want to have our header with a div which has a class of logo. Then also we have our nav. Then under our nav we're going to have our UL. Then under our UL we're going to have our LI. Then under this LI we want to have some span, and we're going to need about 5 of them. So here it is. We have our div with a class of logo. We have our nav, our UL, our LI. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're about 5. So this is our. So we're going to call this our header. So don't forget the web page is divided into 3 contents. So we're going to have main. We are not going to be building in all this, but let's divide our web page. Then also our footer. So yeah, is it. So now let's link the CSS file. Style index.css. Index.css. So let me close this. Then copy the path so that we can be viewing it directly from the browser. So now to my CSS file, first I'm going to have the margin 0, then padding 0. So let me list all the nav I want to have. So we have about, services, events, then contacts. So let me refresh. So we can see the way it's appearing. So we're also going to be needing an image here. We're going to put the web logo. So let's have our background image. Specify the URL. Images. We are using basketball. So refresh. See the way it looks. Now background size. I'm going to say cover. Also background position, center, height 100 VH, then background repeat, no repeat. So now let me refresh. So we see how it looks now. So let's edit this our navbar. No, before you can create a drop down menu, you have to have a navbar. So let's start. We have our header here. So this is for our header. So header. We're still going to write in this, but for now, let's leave it empty. We are coming back to it. So header. Now I want to start with our nav. That is this nav here. So we're going to say display flex. We say display flex. Let's check what happened. We're going to notice nothing will happen. So let me refresh. You see, nothing is happening. I have refreshed. But let's continue. Now we have our header nav. So now we want to call the UL, that is the on order list, that is this UL here. So we are going to say, we are going to give it a width of 100%. So we're not going to check it now, because when we refresh, nothing still happens until we write this next line of code. So header nav li, and we say display inline block. So we're going to notice a change now. See, everything has become straight. Let me change the color. So yeah, we can give our header a property now. So let's say color white. So we can see now. So we should note that without this display inline block, we'll not have seen any changes. So now display inline block. So let's also put our image here, dot slash image, that is this basketball. See, so big. So we're going to call it in our CSS. So our header image, we are calling by tag. So we are calling it by the tag name. So let's just say width 99 pixel and see, maybe it's okay. Yes. So now our header, let's give it a display. You see that everything here, they are not aligned. I want them to be aligned. So we're going to say display flex. Now it's flex it, but still here they're not yet aligned. So we're going to say justify content center, then align item center. It's going to make it, oh sorry, align items is not meant to be, I think this is not meant to be there. Yes, so just align items. We align everything in the header. So now let's move on to our navbar, but let's give it a background RGB. This is the background I'm giving it. Let me just specify my 0, then let me just use an opacity of 0.5. So you can notice that there's a background there. So this navbar now, let's say I want to take it to the center or to the right. So there's a way we can do that. If we want to take it to the center or to the right, we can just come to our nav here and say, sorry, under our UL, then we'll say text align right. But note, we're not going to notice any change after refresh until we give the nav a width of 100%. By then, we're not going to notice a change. So we can also move it to the center if we so wish. You can say center if we so wish, wherever you want to put it. Now, if we now want to give space between this, if we want to give space between this navbar, so there are two ways we can do that. We can come to our list, that's our li, and say margin right and specify what we want, maybe 50 pixel. So you see it gives space, so we can keep on increasing it. But for me, I'll be using justify content. So under this, yes, so under this, that is here, I'll be saying justify content space around. I'll also be giving it a display of flex. So it's automatically going to space it. You see, I've removed the margin right. So let me give this a font size of 18 pixel. So we can see we've created the navbar, home, about, services, event, and contact. So let's move on. Let me increase it a little. Now let me change my cursor to pointer. You can see that my cursor here, look at where it's looking like. I can change the cursor to pointer. So let me refresh so that when you hover on it, see where the cursor is now, it turns to single hand. So you can see now what is the next thing. We want to create our drop down. So when you want to create a drop down, the first thing is for you to know the list you want to create the drop down. So we want to create it under our services. So we're going to come under the services, then we're going to create our UL. We need like three like 3 li, so 3. So sorry, we forgot our span. We need span also, then we need about 3. So let's have mentorship, training, and sponsorship. So let's head over to our web page and see how it looks. Now we see the way it looks: mentorship, training, and sponsorship. So now let's give this a class. Let's give it a class, services drop down. Now let's move on to our CSS. Now we're going to call it, now I'm calling header dot services drop down. So I'm putting header so that anybody who goes to my HTML, okay, or anybody who is reading my CSS file will know that, okay, all these things I'm calling and are under header. So that's why I'm putting header as a prefix before calling it. I can just call the class directly. So what I'm going to do here is to say flex direction column. So let's check what happens. You see, now it's already straight. We're getting there gradually. Now the next thing is to go to our nav list and give it a position of relative, where we give this services drop down, or anywhere we are creating our drop down, we give it a position of absolute. So let's refresh and see what happens. All right, you see it. Also, we can give it left 0, let's see, then also top 100%. Let's check. Okay, now let's check the HTML code. So we already have our UL, our LI also mentorship, training, and sponsorship. All right. So now we can now call this header. Now we are calling the list here. Let's say text align left. So we can see this is just to make the text align. Sometimes the text can be getting much. So the text align make everything to start from the left. So let's give it a background, of, let's say, 64425. Yes, and a width of 100 of 200 pixel. So now the next thing is to go to our UL. Under our UL, we're going to say margin 0 and padding 0. Now you see how it is. It has come directly under services. Now the next thing we are going to do, our drop down cannot be like this. We need to expand it. So I'm going to come under, I gave it a class of services drop down. So under it, we can come and say under the list, we're going to say padding. We can say 13 pixel, 20 pixel. So let's refresh. Now we see how it looks. We see mentorship, training, and sponsorship. So let's see if we remove this text align left and see what happens. You see the way it is being arranged. You see mentorship, training, sponsorship. They are not starting from the left. So, but with this text align left, we can see that it makes it aligned, which looks more presentable. So now there should be a gap here. We want it to start from here. Note, when you're building a drop down menu, try to avoid using margin because it's going to cause problem for you. I've faced that so many times. This padding, why I said 13 pixel, 20 pixel, it means we can have four values: top, the right, then the next one will be for the bottom, the next one will be for the bottom, and the next one will be for the left. So instead of writing padding top, padding left, padding bottom, you can just combine everything into one line. So the first value will represent the top, the next the left, the next will be the right, then the third value will be for the bottom, and the last value will be for the left. But also you can still combine everything into two. So this the first value will be for the top and the bottom, while the next value will be for the right and the left. So that's what I just did here. So now if we want to give a gap between these services and this drop down menu, we are going to come to our nav li and we are going to use padding on it. Normally we'll have just said margin, maybe we'll have just come to our services drop down menu and say margin 30 pixel, but it's going to be causing gap between this and this. You can adjust it as needed, but instead of doing that, you can just come to your general list and say padding and just specify, let's say 25 pixel and 0. So when we refresh it, we can see it has given it the space between this and this. So also under our drop down menu, let's have a border radius of about 7 pixel. So we see mentorship, training, and sponsorship. So now Also, we need for event. So for the event, we also need, so we can have for the event, we can have championship, we can have tournament. So we can just say UL. So under this UL, we need LI. Under the LI, we need span. Let's say we need about 3. So we can have championship. So we can have tournament. We can also have league. So you can see the way it's appearing, but now it's going to be much more easy. So let's give this a class of event drop down. So in our CSS, this header.services drop down, we can just add comma, then call dot event drop down. So let's refresh. You can see it has taken form also. Then we need to say text align left. So this header.services drop down li, we can just add comma dot event drop down li. We're also calling the class. So when we refresh, we can see championship, tournament, league. So now we want to put an hovering effect. So we can say header, then nav span. When we hover on it, we want the color to change to yellow. So when we hover on it, see the color changes to yellow. So now how do we now create the drop down? Now we're going to be using hovering effect also. So let's specify our header. Now we're now going to call this, we want it that when we hover on these services, all this will appear. So let's give this a class of services li. Let's also give this a class of event li. So now let's go to our CSS and call it .services li. So when we hover on it, what should happen? Now when we hover on it, we want an effect to take place on this services drop down menu so that it can be visible. So we can just copy it. So when we hover on the services li, we want an effect to take place on this .services drop down. So what do we want to happen? We want the display to be flexed. But now initially we need to set the display to be none. So here we're going to have our display to be none. So now when we hover on it, we can see that the display is now visible, but it's not yet for the event. So we're going to call for the event also. Now we're going to say event drop down. Now when we refresh it, all right, let's check if we are calling. Oh, we said service, so no, it should be events li. So let's refresh it and run it. So you can see championship, tournament, league. When we hover on it, it appears. So this is how to create a drop down menu. So you can use this logic to create more complex one. Just try to manipulate your CSS. Please, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe. I will be posting more engaging and quality coding content here, and also tech content. Please don't forget to subscribe and also click the notification bell. Thank you.